Welcome back, guys. Today on the LS swap, what we're going to be doing is replacing that oil pan. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is taking these 14 10 mil bolts off. I got 14 of them all the way around the pan. I'm going to take those loose, and I don't know if this is supposed to be this, or if it's supposed to be a 10 mil. Somebody might have been in here at one point and just replaced it because they lost a bolt. But remove all the pan bolts and then pull the pan off. And my battery's running low on my gun. Let me go ahead and replace the battery real quick, and then we'll get the rest of these bolts off and show you what it looks like when I take the pan off. Okay, so I've got all the bolts loose all the way around. Just a quick tip, anybody using anything, I mean a gun, electric gun, air gun, a torque wrench, whatever it may be, extensions will kill the torque. So if you have a gun and you're using a gun to remove bolts, try and do it without an extension. If you have to have an extension, you're going to lose the torque. That's just the way it is. I mean, you have a longer shaft that you have to put that torque through, and you lose your torque rating. Same thing with the torque wrench. When you go to torque down a bolt, make sure that you go up a couple of pounds, foot-pounds if you're using foot-pounds, or inch-pounds if you're using inch-pounds. Just go up a couple, because you are going to lose your torque reading with an extension. And the longer the extension, the worse it is. Okay. Oil pan's off, and looking inside here, just a quick glance, it actually looks pretty clean. I'm surprised. This is a junkyard engine after all, but it looks pretty clean. There's not a lot of buildup on the bottom of these like you see a lot of times. A lot of times there's a lot of buildup down there, but seems clean. Seems fairly clean, at least as far as I can tell. The oil pickup doesn't have anything stuck inside of it. Means this person probably kept their oil changed. So now I'm going to pull the new pan out and see what I've got with it and see what the instructions say. Because I'm pretty sure I got to cut some of this shield off. So let me get that pan out and see what it says. And I got a new oil pickup tube that has to go on. So let's get that out. Okay, so this is the kit that I bought. I bought the Holley 302-2K. I bought the kit. I will leave a link in the description where you can get this. You're going to want this oil pan if you are going to swap this, say, into like an old Nova, which is pretty much identical to my Pontiac that I'm doing. So most of the Nova parts will fit in my Pontiac, vice versa. But you're going to want to get the kit. It's definitely the cheaper way to go. And with the kit, you get the new oil pan. And I will show you the side-by-side comparison, what's different on them from this oil pan versus the truck oil pan that I just took off. You get a new gasket. You get this plate that goes inside the pan. You get a bag of hardware. You get a new oil pickup. And the reason you're going to want the kit mainly is because you're going to need to run a different dipstick tube. So it comes with a dipstick tube and the dipstick. So that is the Holley 302-2K, and these are all the parts that come in it. Let's do a side-by-side, new pan versus old pan, see what the differences are. So here's the truck pan that I pulled off, and here's the new pan. So right off the bat, you can tell it is shallower here versus here, and it is shallower on the sump versus there. So you're going to need this pan if you're going to swap it into, like I said, an old Nova. It needs to be able to clear the cross member, and this pan will not do that. And it also, I believe, hangs too low, so you'll drag it on the ground if you mount this in your car and you don't have the new one. So this is something you're going to need to get. So let's get this all put together and put it on the new engine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is install this baffle. And I've got my 4 bolts for the baffle that are supplied with the kit. And for the instructions, number 8 says apply drop blue Loctite to the threads. and to torque them to 8 to 10 foot-pounds. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got my baffle, my bolts, my blue Loctite, and my torque wrench, and of course my socket. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply a drop of blue Loctite on each one of these, and then thread them into the holes, hand tighten them with this socket, and then torque them down with a torque wrench. Okay, so I've got a drop of blue Loctite on all 4 of these, started them all. You don't want to start one, tighten it down, because then you'll put the other ones in a bind. So they're all started, and now I'm just going to take it by hand and run them all down until they touch. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, take my torque wrench, and it says 8 to 10 foot-pounds, so I'm going to turn it on. It's already at 10 foot-pounds, so I'm going to go to 8 foot-pounds first. And I'll hit it with the 8, see how it feels, and then I will go to 10. So, still set at 8. And remember what I said about that extension earlier. It's 8. I'm going to go crisscross pattern. Doesn't say 2, but I'm going to. It's a good habit to get into. Eight. 8. 8.1. Still 8. So now I'm going to bump it up to 10, because that felt just fine. 10. And I'm going to hit them all at 10. Crisscross pattern. 10. 10. 10. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is install this oil passage cover. And I've got the gasket already on it. It's just sitting up there. And it says to torque these bolts down to 106 inch-pounds. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tighten it down by hand first, and then torque them down to 106 inch-pounds. Alright, so I've got them down by hand. I'm going to set my torque wrench to 106 inch-pounds. And this one just happens to be able to go to inch-pounds. So inch-pounds, I'm going to go 106. Tighten them down. And this is threading into aluminum, so be careful with it. Don't go ridiculous with it, because aluminum is prone to stripping. So what I'm going to do is just tighten them down to 106 inch-pounds. Alright, so I'm going to try and put this on off the engine. This is for your oil filter. It goes right in here. It's got some Loctite of some sort already on it. That's the way it comes. And we tighten this one down to 40 foot-pounds. So I'm going to try to do this off the engine. I might have to install the pan onto the engine before I can actually tighten it down, but we'll find out. Okay, so everything is now installed on the pan. The only thing left to do, flip it over, is go over to the engine block and work on that. Okay, so back to the block. First things first, I need to remove this oil pickup. So it's got a 10 mil down here. Gonna get that out and not drop it inside the engine. I'm gonna set my bolts right there and then swap over, because the rest of these bolts that hold the shield on are all 13 mils. So going down here that holds the oil pickup tube on. Go ahead and take that off. Again, set the bolt down there. And now I think my oil pickup tube is good to come off. Give it a little wiggle while you pull up on it. Nope, there's another bolt. This one right here. Gotta remove that. Okay. Now it's gonna come off. So the O-ring comes with it. Set it down on the side. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is zip the rest of these bolts off, or these nuts off, on this pan, or this shield, and see how it looks underneath the windage tray off. What I'm gonna do, since this is a junkyard engine, I'm just gonna look down in here, see if I see anything out of the ordinary. Doesn't look like any of these connecting rods have gotten hot. Not a whole lot of discoloration to them. Everything looks good. Everything seems fine down there. So now I'm gonna remove this factory dipstick tube, and I've seen a lot of people fight to get these out of there, and I'm gonna hope that I get lucky and it comes right out. So I'm just gonna take a hammer and try tapping on the end of this, see if I can pop it down and pop it out. And is it attached anywhere else with a bolt? It is. It's attached down here with a bolt. So take this bolt out, and then I'm gonna take a hammer and tap on that. Okay, so I got the dipstick out of it. It really wasn't that difficult to do. So what I ended up doing was I removed my exhaust manifold, and then I broke the dipstick tube off right here where it goes in. I broke it off. Just twisted it back and forth till it broke off, and then I took a punch. I punched the other half out from the other side, from the bottom side. I punched it out the other way. And then mine actually had a plug in it, which they tell you in the instructions to watch for. That plug, I took my punch and I punched that plug out. And now my new dipstick tube fits just the way it should. It took me all of about 2 minutes to do. It was really simple. So if anybody out there's watching this and getting ready to do this, get a punch. Just a little punch. I got a punch like this. This was my punch. I just punched it out, and now it'll work. So the next thing I gotta do is clean up this mating surface, and then I'm gonna have to modify that tray over there. So let's get to that. Okay, so this is the layout I'm gonna go with for my cut. And what I've done is I've transferred that over here. And how I transferred that pattern over here, well, I just kind of referenced it back and forth, back and forth. I used my little screwdriver, and I just scratched into it like that until I had my line right here. And that's going to be my cut reference. That's where I'm going to cut my windage tray. Okay, so now I've got this windage tray trimmed in the exact places that it said to have it trimmed. I've got it cleaned up so there's no sharp edges, no leftover metal shavings. And now I've got to install this new oil pickup tube. And I've got the O-ring on, and I've got just a dab of Vaseline wiped around the O-ring. So now I'm going to test fit this. So I'm going to set it on here, set it in place, see if I can press this down by hand. You don't want to use the bolts that are supplied with this to pull it down, because you can mess up the O-ring. So I'm going to see if I can press this down. Might take a little bit of oomph, but I'm going to press it down, and I'm going to put the oil pan on top, and then turn the engine over and make sure that, number one, my oil pan sits flat, and number two, that nothing interferes with the oil pan. Alright guys, so here's the deal. In any build or anything you do, you're going to run into setbacks, and I have ran into my first setback. So what I went to do was I went to turn this engine over to check for clearances for the oil pan, and unfortunately it didn't turn over. It turned over about halfway and it stopped. So that led me to believe I have a stuck lifter. It stopped in the same spot no matter which way I turned the engine, and that led me to believe I had a stuck lifter. And sure enough, I did have a stuck lifter. And the lifter that was stuck, I had a couple of them. And I did get them to free up. They are free now, but I'm not sure if I want to tear this head off and clean it and buy new head gaskets, put it back together, or if I want to take it back to the scrapyard that I got it. Scrapyard that I got it from had another 6.0 sitting out there, almost identical engine. Same year, same everything, same amount of miles, same compression. I had the pick of the two, and I just chose this one because it was out and about. So here is the couple lifters that I've got. So my valves, sorry, not lifters. My valves are stuck. They were stuck. They had a whole bunch of crap inside there. I don't know if you can see that, but it was actually not allowing it to open. And I got them open. It does rotate now, but I don't know if that's something that I want to deal with. So for now, I'm going to stop this project. Installing the oil pan, because I'm not going to install an oil pan on an engine that has a hard time turning over by hand. But that's where I'm at. So I'm not sure if I want to take it back to the scrapyard and swap it out for the other one, or if I want to go ahead and take these heads off and go about that way. Gotta make that decision. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to swap over and start working on the fuel tank for my car. I have a fuel tank that I got to get set up. It's going to be, as you know, electronic fuel injection rather than carbureted. So I have a new fuel pump that I have to get set up. So that's what I'm going to switch to now to kind of get my mind off this, because this is very irritating. I was hoping this engine was going to be solid and good to go, but it doesn't appear that way. So I'm going to swap over now. I'll let you guys know if I decide to run this, and if I do, I'll show you how to pull the heads off and how to go about that. And if I pull the heads off, I might just end up replacing the springs and the cam at the same time. I mean, might as well. But I'll let you guys know. Okay, guys, so I've got the engine set off to the side now, and I've got it mostly put back together. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I don't know if I'm going to try and take these heads off and make them work, clean them up, do a valve job on it. I don't know. But stay tuned, because that will be coming soon. I am going to decide tomorrow morning, so that's happening soon. Alright, guys, make sure if you're new to this channel, you like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. Stay tuned to this LS build. Have a good day, guys. Thanks for watching.